Now it's April 24th right now, and a lot of you are thinking and in through May of putting out minerals for deer. It's a lot of fun. I know it is. And you know, I love putting minerals out for number one. I really like to put summer minerals out just to get inventory of bucks. A lot of fun to watch bucks coming in and watching and taking a hit on that mineral and then really getting an inventory of them. A lot of times in a certain area, they'll repeat that pattern over and over again. This is a great example of a good spot. We need to take care of some weeds here, which is critical. We could have frost seeded clover in this area because I'm going to put clover in this 1/4 acre field right here. But we put clover in this spot, and we got to take care of the weeds. That means we're killing the clover as it's germinating because we're taking care of the weeds. So we need to take care of these weeds first. Again, April 24th, I'm going to be spraying this weekend. I'll get a final spraying in towards the end of May. It's already been chemically controlled last year. I'll put this seed down the end of May. I actually put it down with 50 pounds per acre of oats, and that'll act as a cover crop for the clover that's coming into this field. So perfect spot that seems on paper to put a mineral station, just because deer can come out of this bedding area right over here. They can hit this and then they can go out into the ag field. So it's just a perfect pass through. That's where I like putting minerals, in that perfect pass through area. So great time to put minerals out right now. Number one, I like putting them in those pass through areas. We have a stand location right behind Dylan, so it just kind of matches that movement where we're trying to watch the deer that are going back and forth through this area anyways, and you're establishing that pattern of use then with the minerals. Now secondly, after establishing that pattern of use, then I like taking inventory of what bucks are in the area, so what bucks are actually here during the summertime. However, summertime, that's where this kind of takes a little bit of a turn for minerals right here. We'll go into why I'm not using minerals in this area. There's a few reasons, but summertime patterns have nothing to do with hunting season buck patterns. Now you could say that we're trying to establish a buck pattern of a buck back in the bedding, hitting clover, and then going out to the ag fields here. Those ag fields are non-existent. The alfalfa gets frosted out in October, the crops get picked, fields get plowed, manured, end of October, early November. So by the time we get into the heat of the season, right into that heart where we really want to get a lot of serious hunting done, this pattern is no longer. This is not. So we can't think about, well, we have these summer patterns, they're going to duplicate in the fall. That's not the way it works. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a lot going on with this food plot and many more. I can't wait to plant this. Check out what we're planting on WHS Wildlife Blends. All 12 of our blends are out. You can order bulk seed, buckwheat, and rye. Check it out. We have a new website. Click on seed on the whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It'll take you right to the new blend site. Appreciate you for checking it out and taking the time to watch us. So inventory is great, but that's summertime inventory. Establishing patterns of use, really good, and getting those patterns, you know, watching this pattern all summer long, but again, they're summer patterns. Inventory is great, like I said, but then number three, this is where the problem comes in. There's never been any scientific study that shows any relation to deer that are on minerals, free-ranging deer, and then having an explosion in their antler growth, appreciable antler growth, any difference in antler growth between non-mineral properties and mineral properties. That's just a scientific fact, and we don't see that anywhere, and we haven't seen that for decades. Now, mineral companies will tell you different. Of course, all the great studies out there that show minerals do something are put out by mineral companies. Think about it. Why is that? But bottom line is, there's never been a scientific study to show. It's fun to do. You can see those patterns during the summer of where bucks are. That'll basically tell you where they're not going to be in the fall. Gives you a great chance of inventory. It's fun to put a camera on. It's very enjoyable all summer long to watch because, you know, mineral licks, let's face it, during the summer, it's probably one of the best spots to find consistent mature buck use on a day in, day out basis. Never been a study that it does anything. Now, Dylan worked on a deer farm, and the deer would, whether it was pounds per week or pounds per day they ingested, it was a part of their diet where they're basically consuming minerals on a daily basis as part of their diet in a deer fence to give you those few more percentage points of antler growth, especially to get them to that next category where they're worth a lot more money when they go from range to range and type of inches, number of inches they have on those antlers. We're talking about genetic super freak bucks too in that enclosure where, you know, you're really trying to get those inches. But I mean, some of those bucks were some of the highest scoring bucks that you ever saw in there, Dylan.
The highest one that I ever personally guided and filmed was 311 inches.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were I think they had some 370. They probably have some over 400 these days.
Which is absolutely crazy. So you're thinking we're talking a lot different deer than what we're seeing. And Dylan, they're probably hitting those at a fairly young age too, yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah, so definitely. This isn't something that's taken until 6 or 7 to express their true antler potential. They're dead by then because they were already a 300-inch monster and shot. So that's that last few percentage points in an enclosure, in a daily deer's diet, where they're not just licking a block or taking a couple licks off a stump. They're actually ingesting it as part of their food on a daily deer. That's a little bit different. Even then, it's just a few percentage points on monster bucks that we're talking. And I'm not saying 170 inches in a monster buck, but a lot different than a 400 inch as far as increase in that antler growth over a few percentage points on deer. They're ingesting it every day. So a lot of fun, great inventory. See those patterns of summer use, which typically aren't where they're at during the fall. But bottom line is, I don't do it around here. It's illegal. It's illegal here in southeast Minnesota, southwest Wisconsin, where I'm at, and a lot of locations. Not to say it's illegal in your spot or county or state where you're at, but certainly I'm not going to risk my career and reputation on doing something like that, whether I wanted to or not. Now, back in the UP in Michigan, back in the day, it was legal to do so. And so I enjoyed putting minerals out for deer because I did just that. I watched them all summer long, try to get a glimpse of that monster that might come through just one time, knowing he might be there for the fall, especially next to big public land. And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed those days. Illegal now, but don't put out mineral. Try not to fool yourself that you're really doing great things for the deer herd. Great things for the deer herd might come from your fall food plots. People think about plots during the growing season, but the deer have so much food around these parts and anywhere in the north half of the country, I'd say the north 3/4 of the country, that it's almost impossible to do anything better than the local vegetation improves for and allows for the almost complete growing season from early spring all the way to fall until the weeds start dying. When the weeds start dying and the green starts breaking up, and that's why like people talk about summer food plots and having weeds in the food plot being a really good thing. But the problem is when you have those weeds in the food plots, then they're taking up volume. That volume is not replaced with anything during the fall because, and at the same time during the growing season, those can zap nutrients out of your food plots, so you get a very small representation of your food plots. I know I've seen 10-acre plots that are really only an acre of food. Deer don't want to eat like that too. They don't want to eat spaced out to where they have to consume what would have been a circle right here of good nutritious food and do that times 10 on a property or times 10 on a food plot. And that's where, when you get into the fall, that's a lean time of the year for deer, not during the growing season. As those weeds start dying, deer need green vegetation. Fill their bellies before winter, fill it right after winter with the standing rye that we have and rye that we have on the property. That's excellent. It's the only thing green they have available at that time, and that makes a difference. You can see all the rye over here on the other side of the side by side right up here. You start to see some of the rye coming in right here, and then especially where we had it a little bit thicker right up in here. You see a lot of this rye really starting to take place, and they love that green vegetation, but this rye right now is starting to get in that 6-7 inch range, and their deer don't need it because there's already an explosion of growth around here before spring green up, and then right before winter time. Those several weeks are where you can make a difference in the deer herd. So instead of minerals, if you have private land, think about how can I get rye or wheat on my property, so I'm making sure, and food plots in the fall when I'm really filling the bellies of the deer before the winter, and then right after the winter. This rye is available long before clover, a long time before the alfalfa out in the fields around here. A lot of times this rye or wheat is the only thing green at that time of the year, and it's a great food source. That's at a time of nothing in the woods. That's at a time of very low value in the local habitat. You know, we have lots of regeneration, we have lots of cuttings here, but even then this green food source is the only thing green in the form of rye that we offer for the deer. That's going to make a lot greater difference than your minerals. So minerals, just look at the studies. The ones that are very positive are all put on by mineral companies, and at the same time it can be a lot of fun. I think I'd use them out here. I don't think it's doing any harm, and be a great spot for a camera. Again, it's illegal in my parts. What we do like is when we have a mock scrape tree and licking branch. Those compete well with minerals as far as deer hitting them all summer long. So we put a lot of cameras on these licking branches, mock mock scrapes that we have. And a lot of times where we have a mock scrape, we have a stand location nearby. That's where we expect to hunt, and that's the greatest pattern that we can try to achieve all season long. In this case, we're taking deer and moving them sideways through this land back and forth. Minerals will be gone in the fall. We're already creating that pattern with a big food plot over there, small food plot right here, water hole about 300 yards that way, bedding area down there. It's a complete picture, and we're using mock scrapes, water holes, food sources during the fall. Food sources not only to develop those patterns, but also to give them the nutrients they need at a time of really a lack of nutrients in the whitetail woods and in their habitat. And that's what we're looking at for increasing the deer herd and the value and the nutrition and the habitat that they have. So minerals, maybe not, but there's a lot of other things that I know that contribute a lot more greatly to the deer herd, and I hope you're using those tools, whether it's quality food plots during the hunting season or right after the winter is done with a little bit of green with rye and wheat. Those can make some actual differences in your deer herd this fall and beyond. Now, I don't know if you've checked out our main website lately, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, but we've really had a lot going on, including hats, books, our web class, and certainly our new seed company, WHS Wildlife Blends. When you click on seed on our site, it'll take you right to our brand new site for the seed company. We have all 12 blends available. So check it all out though. I encourage you, I appreciate you checking it out. Whether you buy anything or not, really appreciate you visiting the site and seeing what's going on, and continue to watch because we have big things coming later this year.